Welcome to Valley Politics. I'm Terry Christensen, your host for our show on politics and public policy in San Jose and Silicon Valley. You may know that we have a special election coming up in San Jose City Council District 4, that's Berryessa, North San Jose, and Alviso. Kansan Chu, who previously represented the district, was elected to the State Assembly last year, and this is an election to choose his replacement. 10 candidates ran in the primary, and today we'll meet Tim Orozco and Manh Nguyen, who got the most votes and now face one another in the June 23rd runoff election. We'll also have an update on what's going on in San Jose Council District 1, that's the West Valley, with Councilmember Charles Chappie Jones. And then on our Where Are They Now feature, we'll have the first part of our visit with Norm Mineta, who served as a councilman and mayor of San Jose and went on to 20 years in Congress and as a cabinet secretary for 2 presidents. An amazing career. All this next on Valley Politics. Welcome everyone, and welcome Manh Nguyen and Tim Orozco.
Thank you for having me.
Manh, you've been endorsed by the Chamber of Commerce. Tim, you've been endorsed by the Democratic Party and labor unions. How is that affiliation, how will those affiliations affect how you represent District 4? Let's start with you, Manh.
I welcome all endorsements from all groups, and but I got to be clear that I'm running as a independent candidate, and my major and my only duties is to the interest of the people in District 4 and also in the city of San Jose. And I represent no one else.
Tim?
You know, I'm proud of my endorsements. I have been backed by labor groups, by environmental groups, public safety folks, elected officials, and one of the reasons why many of these groups have backed our campaign for city council is because we share the same values. When it comes to labor folks, it's about supporting our working class and middle class families. When it comes to the environment, they know that I will protect the hillsides, protect our creeks and streams out in Berryessa and North San Jose and Alviso. I'm really proud, but my number one priority and my highest obligation is to the residents of District 4.
Well, let's talk about the residents a little bit. It's a district that's 60% Asian, the largest Asian percentage of any council district in the city. How does that affect what your job will be? Tim, you start.
It's no different. I am a reflection of the community. I grew up in Berryessa, went to the public schools there, and I want to give back to that community. We all, whether it's the Asian community, and that's very diverse as well. We have Filipinos, Chinese, Vietnamese, Indians, whether it's the Latino community or whether it's the Caucasians. We all want the same things for our community. We want parks, clean parks, parks that are accessible to residents. We want libraries that are open. We want safe neighborhoods. We want quality schools. So, and we want our streets to be less congested, and we want our streets to be filled, our potholes to be filled. So we all want the same goals for our community, and I will, strive and make sure that I work hard to ensure that we have those city services that we all want, because the desired result, the desired goal is to have a neighborhood that we can be proud of and a quality of life that's important to all of us.
Manh, how about you? How will representing a majority Asian district affect how you do your job?
This District 4 is very unique in terms of diversity. You very right. It's about 64% as Asian American, and nearly a half are foreign born. And based on my background and also my experience, I'm very proud to be an immigrant and also an American, Asian American. And it's the uniqueness I have in my position as a candidate for D4, and I hope I will be the best to serve the needs of the people, not only Asian American, but the whole District 4.
One of you is going to get elected, and we have a city council now in which there's potential significant division. There are council members who may be a little less reluctant, be a little more reluctant to go along with the mayor on some budget proposals and on pension reform more specifically. So you could be the swing vote on the city council. Assuming you get elected, do you think you'd be more inclined, Mon, to side with the mayor on most of these issues, budget, pension reform, for example, or to take an alternative path?
I support a majority of positions of the Mayor Sam Licado, but that does not mean that I give a blank check to him. I'm a independent candidate, so I'm willing to work with both sides, with the whole council and the mayor, to resolve the problems of the city and also of the District 4.
Tim?
You know, I'm well aware that there are some greater city issues that affect all of us, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm going to be a representative for District 4 residents. And so my focus, again, on the City Council will be to ensure that they have an advocate at City Hall to make sure that the residents there get their fair share of city resources. And that includes all our neighborhoods. That includes El Viso, which has been neglected for many decades. That includes North San Jose, which is growing and has you know, many issues of their own, and of course Berryessa, where the bulk of the residents live. So, you know, I know there are the greater issues, and but you know, I'm an independent voice. I will be an independent voice. I have been telling folks all along during this campaign that I'm a pragmatic, practical person, that I study issues and I'm a deliberate thinker. So that's how I will handle things. And so when it comes to pension reform or when it comes to other issues that affect us citywide, I will study those issues very carefully and then make the best decision for the residents of District 4.
Well, one of those greater issues you just mentioned is pension reform.
Yeah.
So one of the things that's going to be decided in the next year or so is whether the city sticks with the Measure B pension reforms for public employees, or whether it's possible to negotiate some sort of settlement. Where are you on that issue? Are you more inclined to stick with Measure B, more inclined to negotiate to a settlement and move forward?
You know, I support pension reform. Many of us do, right? We all support pension reform. And so, but I support a negotiated process. I think that is extremely important. You know, Measure B took it out of the collective bargaining process. And look at the result we got. I mean, you know, hundreds of police officers have left the department. Sure, there have been some cost savings, but for the most part, I don't think, I think we all, you know, I can't imagine that we all think that we're better off because of Measure B. So, so I'm hopeful with this mayor and the new city council that the city manager and others will meet with our public employees and come up with a negotiated contract. This is what they do in 95% of the cities across the state. You know, they collectively bargain and they come up with a contract that's fair with equitable wages and a good compensation package that, you know, that they can live off of. So I support a negotiated process.
Mon, what about you?
Measure B is the will of the people. It has been passed by 70% of the city, of the residents of the city of San Jose. And we need to honor that will of the people. However, pension reform must go on. And also you may know that the unfortunate thing is the consequence of the Measure B. That right now there's a conflict and also the standoff between the civic leaders and also the police unions, and that is a very detrimental to the people of San Jose and also people of D4 as well. And we need to sit down to find a solution that is acceptable and feasible and reasonable to all sides.
You both know the city has budget problems, and public employee pensions get the blame for a lot of those problems, I think unfairly, because the larger problem is actually San Jose's tax base. Compared to other cities in this region, San Jose has much lower revenue per capita than those other cities. If we had revenue per capita equal to Santa Clara, we'd probably have a surplus, not a deficit, and we wouldn't be talking about some of these pension issues. So I'm wondering what your solution to that is. How do we fix the tax base? And would you support a tax measure on the 2016 ballot? Mon, start with you.
Economy, and economy. We got to improve the economy to have more money for the city, to increase the tax base. That's the only way to get out of the situation right now in order to restore all services to basic services to the residents of D4 as well as the city of San Jose. We need to improve the economy, improve the tax base. We got to spend money with respect and care, and we got to spend it the way efficiently. And also we got to, one of the things we need to do is not to convert the commercial lands to residential, because as you may know that San Jose is the bedroom community for other cities around, and that is very bad for the city, for the tax base, and I think we got to stop that, and but focus on economy, that's the main thing.
What about a tax measure on the 2016 ballot? Would you support
Tax
that?
and fee are not popular, and not many people like a tax and fee, so except for tax measure that have a specific purpose, like for education or for transportation, for infrastructure, and that will be acceptable to the people. But you got to make sure for the intended use of the tax measure.
Okay, thank you. Tim?
Yeah, we definitely need to attract more jobs to the city. District 4 includes the Golden Triangle, and there's a lot of opportunity to continue to bring in high manufacturing jobs, to bring in some advanced technology companies that would bring in that would hire more employees and increase our tax base and bring in revenues to the city coffers. So we will find ways, I will work with the City Council and others to find ways to incentivize so that we can attract the big companies to the Golden Triangle. Small businesses in Berryessa, there is a dearth of small businesses. We lack the quality retail and restaurants that are highly needed, and we have a great opportunity at the BART station to what I envision as a Berryessan, maybe a mini Santana Row, that would be great for the city coffers, but to really bring a place that we can be proud of, and with a strong commercial component, a strong retail component, of course housing, but I am not opposed to taxes. Measure BB, I supported in Alameda County for transportation infrastructure. It won with 70% of the vote. Obviously, folks in Alameda County, I think here in Santa Clara County, know the need that our roads need to be improved, that we need to improve our public transportation system. I'm looking forward to a transportation tax on the ballot. The Silicon Valley Leadership Group supports this. The slogan up in Alameda County was better BART, better buses, better bikes. So you're improving that infrastructure, and that's important to the economy. So whether we entertain a sales tax increase, I would have to study that a little bit more.
Final question. Why are you the best candidate to represent District 4? We'll start with you, Tim.
Well, I got in this race late because I really took a hard look at it, and I thought about it, and there are a couple reasons. One is I grew up in Berryessa. I'm a native of San Jose and grew up in the area, so I know our challenges, I know our strengths, and I feel because not only because I know the community that I was raised in, but because of my experience. I work with a state legislator. I've worked with the state speaker, the Speaker of the Assembly, and I have gained a lot of insight into how government runs, into how things actually get done, and I will bring that skill set to City Hall.
Manh Nguyen, why would you be the best candidate to represent District 4?
Myself, I live in D4 for like 35 years. And I truly and I wholly understand the needs and the desire of the people in the District 4. And I believe with my background and my knowledge and my experience, I'm best qualified candidate to be represent the District 4. And one more thing, I'm very independent-minded. I'm not belong to chamber, I'm not belong to labors or any specific interest. I put the interest of the people on top, and I believe that the public officials is a public servant. We are there to serve the interest of the people, nothing else, nothing more.
Okay. Tim Orozco, Manh Nguyen, thank you very much for joining us today, and good luck on June 23rd.
Thank you for
Thank you.
having me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Now let's hear which candidates sub-residents of District 4 plan to vote for. Then we'll get the latest news on District 1 with Councilmember Charles Chappie Jones. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Michaela Davis for Valley Politics, and the question of the day is, which candidate do you think would do a better job as new council member for District 4?
The man who actually pounded the pavement and came to my door and asked me for my vote, Manh Nguyen.
Tim Orozco. I actually went to high school with Tim at Piedmont Hills High School and reconnected with him all these years later. He's always been a leader. I think he was born a leader. He was our high school senior class president all 4 years.
Yeah, I think maybe with Manh Nguyen, I think there's a lot of foreigners in the San Jose, so maybe it can help.
I'm sort of I follow with a guy named Orozco. I read about him a little bit, and everything's really good. All the candidates are very well matched.
This is Michaela Davis for Valley Politics. See you next time.
Hello, I am Councilmember Chappie Jones, and I represent District 1, which covers West San Jose. I only assumed office in January, but have been very focused on improving the quality of life for the residents of District 1. Earlier this year, we cut the ribbon on a new sidewalk in the Baker West neighborhood that helped give students a safer walking route to school. I also heard from a group of neighbors that had traffic problems around a school in their neighborhood. Working with the neighbors and the school over several months, we were able to address nearly all of their concerns and improve traffic flow around the school. This served as the basis for Project Passion. Passion stands for Public and School Safety in our neighborhoods. We now have launched this program district-wide and are engaging with other neighborhoods and schools in District 1. I have made it a high priority to work closely with all the neighborhoods in District 1 and try to solve whatever problems they are facing. In one area of West San Jose, there was a street near a residential neighborhood that did not allow overnight parking. Residents wanted to be able to utilize the on-street parking, but worried that large trucks would take up the spaces. Working with our Department of Transportation, I was able to get those signs changed to allow residents to park overnight, but still stop trucks from parking there. One of our main areas of focus has been working with residents, property owners, business owners, and developers on a long-term plan for Winchester Boulevard. As our economy has improved in the past year, there is intense interest in development along Winchester near Santana Row. To this end, I hosted a walking tour of Winchester in April with key residents, stakeholders, and city staff to help kick off the planning process. In June, we will convene a working group to start to create a vision of the future of Winchester. All of these early achievements are just a small part of what I hope to accomplish in my future months and years in office. I want to ensure that District 1 continues to be a great place to live and work. You can find out more by visiting my website at sjdistrict1.com. You can email me at district1@sanjoseca.gov, or you can follow me on Twitter at Chappie Jones. Thank you very much for your attention.
So Norm Mineta, City Councilman, Mayor, Member of Congress, Committee Chair, Cabinet Secretary to 2 presidents. We're interested in all that, but first tell us what you're doing now. Are you just playing golf and fishing?
No, not at all. I just don't want to retire. So, and I've left Hill and Knowlton, so I'm doing some government relations work and do maybe 2 or 3 clients and no heavy lifting, but enough to keep the sheriff away from the front door.
And you're back in San Jose I know you live in Washington.
Right, I live
where
near
the weather's
Annapolis,
so pleasant.
live near Annapolis, and but come to San Jose at least once a month.
Of course, we're now at the Mineta Transportation Institute.
Right.
We know where that name came from, and you still do work with the Institute.
Very much.
Right. I want to talk about your childhood. You were 10 or 11 years old when you and other Japanese Americans, your family, were taken out of your community and taken to Wyoming for the internment camps. You were there for a couple of years. And I know you've got stories about that, but what I want to ask is how that experience of being interned as such a young child, almost teenager though, how that affected your political views later in life.
Well, I think the biggest thing was when those signs went up about our evacuation and internment, and it said, "Attention, all those of Japanese ancestry, alien and non-alien." And even as a 10-year-old kid, as I looked at those posters, I thought, what's a non-alien? So, it's a citizen, but here my own government wasn't willing to acknowledge me as a citizen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a non-alien. But when's the last time you stood up, beat your chest, and said, I'm a proud non-alien of the
Right.
United States of America? And that's why I cherish the word citizen, because my own government wasn't willing to acknowledge me as a citizen, and to this day, I still cherish the word citizen. Even though the greater impact was on adults, but even as a 10-year-old, that was the one thing that I just remember from the evacuation and internment experience.
And how did that affect your politics later in your life in
Well,
Congress?
when I became a member of the city council, one of the things I said to myself was I was going to represent those who had no representation or who were underrepresented. And I think I've stayed with that over all my years.
Well, speaking of city council, you were the first minority person on the city council in over 100 years. I don't know how much more than that. You got there by appointment by basically the white city council, all white male city council. No, Virginia Schaefer was on the council, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
Yeah, all white, one woman. First minority in a century or more. What gave you the confidence and the ambition to accept that appointment and to work with that basically white power structure?
Well, Ron James was a member of the city council. He got elected mayor,
Yeah.
and that created the vacancy.
Mm-hmm.
So Ron and Bob Miller, an incumbent member of the city council, and Lou Saleri came to me and they said, look, we're going to fill that appointment by appointment, so would you consider sending us your application so we could interview you? And so I said, well, let me talk to my dad, because I'm in insurance business with him. So when I talked to him, he said, well, you and I can make whatever arrangements to run the business.
Mm-hmm.
But in Japan, and he was an immigrant from Japan, in Japan there's an old adage that if you're in politics, you're like that nail sticking out of the board.
Uh-huh.
And he said, you know what happens to that nail? It always gets hammered. Now, can you stand being hammered by your friends, your neighbors, constituents? And I said, well, Papa, it's only for a 2-year unexpired term. So if I don't like it, then I'll just drop it. If I like it, then I can run for election. So as a result of that interview process, I was appointed to the city council. Now in '71, when Mayor Ron James decided not to seek re-election, I ran, was elected, and that created again a vacancy.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to the Mexican American community, I think a Mexican American should be on the council. Population was about 12% of the city. And so I said, give me some names. So the community responded and gave me a number of names, and we picked from that group.
The second minority person
That's right.
to be on the city council in
Absolutely.
many years. Yeah, you ran for election
Election,
of
not
council,
re-election.
of council in
Yeah.
1969, and then for mayor in 71.
Right.
So I guess you didn't get hammered too hard in those first 2 years?
No, the city of San Jose is such a collaborative kind of a city.
Well, some would say it
Yeah.
used to be,
Yeah.
but definitely it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the Congress used to be also.
So 1971, you were elected mayor, a stunning election because you had how many, 14 appointments, or there were 14 of you running?
Unemployment was that bad.
And you won, and you needed a majority of 50% plus one. That's almost impossible to imagine these days that anybody could achieve that. So you really had a broad base of support. You served as mayor until 1974 when you ran for Congress. During your term as mayor, what do you think was your proudest accomplishment?
Well, we were going from an agricultural to a high-tech community. And so I was doing a lot of economic development work to try to bring high-tech companies in. And I remember we attracted a company. We had a press conference, and I said at the end, so if you want to know more about it, write to me at mayor@California, San Jose, gov. My press secretary is John Spaulding, Chief of Staff.
I remember John.
Tugging at my sleeve saying, dot, not period. Because we were so brand new with the nomenclature.
Yeah.
No one, at least I didn't know. So here I'm saying, so write to me at mayor@California, San Jose, gov.
That was very early days for all that.
Absolutely.
Very early. Yeah. So your proudest accomplishment was bringing in some high-tech business.
Making that transition from an agricultural community to prepare it for the eventuality. When people were asking me, why are you putting so much money into the sewage treatment plant? Well, I knew we were going to be at least $1 million, and we had to get ready for that. And the nature of agriculture and high-tech mix, so to speak, for the sewage treatment plant different.
Yeah.
So we had to do a lot of planning for the transition of the community.
Was the IBM plant at Santa Teresa, was that on your watch?
No, that's one of the things I brought in.
Yeah.
And I remember when the attorney Marshall, he called and he said, look, you're going to be talking to someone who's very prominent in business. He can't identify, but we're in competition with several other communities to bring in this high-tech laboratory. And so I never knew who we were dealing with, but I knew it was a serious proposition.
That Santa Teresa area has all been redeveloped now with Chappie and massive residential and commercial.
Right.
So big changes.
Absolutely.
But that IBM plant was a crucial.
It was I had 3 areas: urban transition, urban reserve. It was in the urban reserve area.
I remember it was controversial.
We weren't supposed to be doing any development. But if you do a cost-benefit study and it comes in favor of the city's figures, then you could allow it. But people were saying, "Oh, you guys are crunching the numbers," but it was really a legitimate study.
What about big disappointment from your time as mayor? Was there something you didn't achieve that you had really hoped to?
You know, here I come into office on the 1st of July, and in September we had a shooting of a young IBM engineer making an improper
John Henry Smith.
Improper U-turn in a residential district. Now, that happened at 1 in the afternoon. By 5, I must have had 2,000 people at City Hall.
I was there.
And that was something that really had to work on. And it's something that I had to deal with in the 3.5-year term I was mayor, just in terms of how to deal with the police department. One of the things we did was to institute psychological testing of police officers. And I mean, the POA just came down and said, what do you think, we're a bunch of psychotics? I said, no, this is for your protection as well. And now there isn't a city in the country that doesn't do psychological testing. And when that happened, I called Lee Brown, who had been a member of our San Jose Police Department. He's the one who really guided me through that whole thing. And then also introduced to me the concept of COPS, community-oriented police services. And so I've always just loved Lee Brown for all he did.
Be sure to catch the second part of our interview with Norm Mineta on our show next month. Meanwhile, please visit our website at creatvsj.org. And now that's all, folks. Thanks for watching Valley Politics today. We'll see you next time.